The emergency council meeting had been called without warning. Representatives from 12 different species gathered in the great chamber aboard Harmony Station, their voices creating a symphony of clicks, whistles, and deep rumbles that filled the vast, circular room. Above them, holographic displays showed the terrible truth that had brought them together. Admiral Rex adjusted his breathing apparatus and stepped forward to address the assembly. His species, the aquatic builders, had maintained galactic peace for over 3,000 years, but now that peace faced its greatest threat. The hologram above him shifted to show system after system going dark along the galaxy's outer rim. The mechanical plague has consumed 17 more worlds in the past month, Rex announced, his translated voice carrying the weight of desperation. The Devourers show no signs of slowing. Our military experts calculate we have 6 months before they reach the core systems. A massive insectoid representative from the Hive Collective clicked its mandibles in distress. Our warrior casts report that conventional weapons are useless against their adaptive shielding. Each engagement only teaches them new ways to resist our attacks. The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs and alien exclamations. For millennia, the 12 races had believed their combined military might could handle any threat. The Stellar Navy boasted ships that could crack planets and weapons that burned at the temperature of stars. Yet the Devourers consumed everything in their path, growing stronger with each victory. Rex called for order, his webbed hands gesturing for silence. We have exhausted our military reserves. The outer colonies have been evacuated, but we cannot retreat forever. The Council Science Division has proposed a solution, though it requires difficult choices. The hologram changed to show population centers across hundreds of worlds. Numbers appeared beside each planet, calculating available military-age populations. The math was brutal but simple. The 12 races together could field perhaps 50 million trained soldiers. The Devourers were estimated to number in the billions. We must invoke the ancient protocols, Rex continued, his voice growing heavier. Forced conscription from pre-spaceflight civilizations. We need bodies on the ground, soldiers who can be trained quickly and deployed as defensive forces while our fleets attempt surgical strikes. The crystalline representative, a being of living mineral that communicated through harmonic vibrations, resonated with disapproval. The protocols have not been used in 8,000 years. They were created in darker times before our enlightenment. These are darker times, Rex replied grimly. Survey teams have identified several suitable worlds, pre-FTL species with large populations and basic military structures. They can provide the numbers we need. Captain Nix received her orders 3 days later aboard the scout vessel Silver Dawn. Her mission seemed routine compared to the desperate battles raging at the galaxy's edge. Survey a primitive world designated as Target 7 Alpha, assess its military potential, and prepare recommendations for forced recruitment. The journey to the small yellow star took 2 weeks through hyperspace. As Silver Dawn dropped into normal space at the system's edge, Nix felt almost disappointed. The third planet from the star looked unremarkable, blue and green with swirling white clouds. It reminded her of dozens of other inhabited worlds she had cataloged over her career. Initial scans complete, reported her science officer, Vel. Single inhabited planet, divided into numerous political territories. Population approximately 8 billion. Technology level appears consistent with early nuclear age development. Nix nodded, reviewing the data on her personal display. The inhabitants called their world Earth, and they had achieved basic spaceflight within their own solar system. A few primitive stations orbited their planet, and they had managed to land on their single natural satellite using chemical rockets. Impressive for their technology level, but nothing that suggested advanced military capability. Any signs of unified planetary government? Nix asked. Negative. Multiple competing nation-states with varying levels of technological development. Some possess basic fusion weapons, but their delivery systems are crude. No energy shields, no gravity manipulation, no faster-than-light communication. The survey continued for 3 days. Silver Dawn remained cloaked while scanning Earth's military installations. The humans, as they called themselves, had nuclear submarines that could remain underwater for months and aircraft that could fly at several times the speed of sound. Their weapons were kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives, primitive but potentially effective in large numbers. Nix compiled her report with professional efficiency. She had surveyed dozens of worlds, and Earth fit the pattern perfectly. A young species with aggressive tendencies, basic technology, and large population centers, perfect for mass conscription. Her final assessment read like countless others. She had filed Species Classification, Pre-FTL, Level 2 Civilization. Population density suitable for large-scale recruitment. Military assessment indicates familiarity with organized combat and weapon systems. Estimated compliance time following. Ultimatum delivery, 72 hours. Recommend immediate implementation of Protocol 7. The report was transmitted to Harmony Station and reviewed by the Council within hours. The debate was brief. Desperate times called for desperate measures. The Galactic Council voted unanimously to demand Earth provide 500 million soldiers. Within one standard galactic cycle, Fleet Commander Tor received command of the enforcement fleet with grim satisfaction. 12 dreadnoughts seemed like massive overkill for a primitive world, but the Council wanted to ensure compliance. His flagship, Eternal Glory, was alone capable of sterilizing continents. The primitive humans would see the wisdom of cooperation as the enforcement fleet prepared to depart for Earth. None of them noticed the subtle energy readings in their long-range sensors. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, systems that had slept for decades were suddenly awakening. Ancient machines stirred to life in the crushing darkness of the deep ocean trenches, responding to signals that had traveled across the galaxy. In the deepest parts of the Pacific Ocean, where the pressure could crush any known hull, something vast and patient began to move. Blue lights flickered in geometric patterns, illuminating shapes that defied easy description. The lights pulsed in sequence, each flash awakening more systems, more machines, more vessels that had waited in the dark for this exact moment. The Galactic Council had made their decision based on incomplete information. They saw Earth's surface technology and assumed they understood human capability. They calculated resistance based on chemical rockets and nuclear warheads, never imagining what might lie hidden beneath the waves. As Fleet Commander Tor's ships entered hyperspace toward Earth, carrying ultimatums and threats of orbital bombardment, the ocean depths around Earth grew brighter with each passing hour. Soon, the galaxy would learn that appearances could be very deceiving, and that some species prepared for threats long before those threats became visible. The Council's fatal mistake was not in underestimating human courage or determination. Their mistake was in believing that what they could see was all there was to see. The quantum burst transmission arrived simultaneously at every major government center on Earth. Unlike normal radio signals, this message bypassed all communication networks and appeared directly on screens in the Pentagon, the Kremlin, Beijing's Central Command, and dozens of other military facilities around the globe. The translation was perfect, the meaning unmistakable. Greetings, inhabitants of the world you call Earth. By order of the Galactic Council of 12 Races, your planet has been selected for military conscription. You will provide 500 million able-bodied soldiers within 30 of your planetary rotations. These forces will serve in the galactic defense against the Devourer threat. Compliance is not optional. 12 enforcement vessels now occupy positions in your outer solar system. Resistance will result in orbital bombardment and planetary sterilization. Respond within 24 hours. In a secure bunker beneath Cheyenne Mountain, President Tom Miller stared at the message display while his advisors argued in heated whispers around him. General Rita Walsh, head of the Joint Chiefs, was already pulling up military readiness reports. while Admiral Pete Kane reviewed satellite data showing 12 massive objects that had appeared beyond Pluto's orbit. "Mr. President," General Walsh said quietly, "our deep space telescopes confirm the presence of 12 large structures approximately where the message suggests. Each one is roughly the size of Manhattan. We have no defensive capability against technology that can deliver messages directly to our classified systems." Miller nodded slowly, his weathered face grim. At 72, he had served in 3 wars and led the nation through economic collapse and natural disasters. But this was beyond anything in human experience. 500 million soldiers, more than the entire population of the United States. "Options?" he asked simply. Admiral Kane cleared his throat. "Mr. President, we need to discuss classified programs that were established before your administration, before anyone's administration in the current government." The Admiral gestured to a wall screen that flickered to life, showing authorization codes that Miller had never seen before. Project Deep Shield, established in 1973 under joint international mandate. Congressional oversight was limited to a select committee that was disbanded in 1995. Since then, the project has operated under emergency war powers legislation. Miller felt the weight of secret history settling on his shoulders. "What kind of project requires 50 years of secrecy?" "The kind that starts when you find alien technology," Kane replied. "Mr. President, we need to bring you to the Deep Command Center. There are things you need to see." 3 hours later, President Miller stood in a facility that officially did not exist, built into an underwater mountain in the Mariana Trench. The elevator ride down had taken 20 minutes, descending through layers of rock and metal that represented decades of construction. Around him, thousands of personnel worked at stations monitoring systems he could not begin to understand. Director Amy Cross met them at the command level, a woman in her 60s, whose calm demeanor suggested she had been preparing for this moment her entire career. "Mr. President, welcome to Deep Shield Control. We've been expecting this day for 51 years. The central display screen showed Earth from orbit, but overlaid with icons representing thousands of objects beneath the ocean's surface. Each icon pulsed with status indicators showing power levels, weapons readiness, and crew assignments. In 1973, Soviet and American deep-sea mining operations discovered a crashed alien vessel in the Pacific Trench, Cross explained. Rather than fight over it, world leaders made a different choice. They decided to prepare for the day its creators came looking for it. Miller walked along the command center, watching displays that showed technical specifications beyond his comprehension. Gravity drives, quantum weapons, shield generators powered by controlled singularities. "You built all this from one crashed ship?" "We reverse-engineered what we could, improved what we couldn't, and developed what they never imagined," Cross said with quiet pride. "Mr. President, human military doctrine evolved differently than galactic standard practice. We fight dirty, we innovate constantly, and we never assume our enemy's weaknesses will remain constant." On the main display, markers began appearing throughout Earth's oceans as systems came online. The Pacific showed hundreds of indicators, but the Atlantic, Arctic, and Indian Oceans revealed similar concentrations. Each marker represented vessels that had been constructed in absolute secrecy over 5 decades. Admiral Kane stepped beside the president. "Sir, we have 1.2 million vessels ranging from destroyers to dreadnoughts. Each one incorporates technology that our scientists believe exceeds galactic standard by at least 2 generations. We've had 50 years to improve on their designs. The alien ultimatum had given humanity 24 hours to respond." President Miller composed his reply carefully, knowing that his words would echo across the galaxy. Standing before the cameras, in the White House, with the knowledge of humanity's hidden strength burning in his mind, he delivered Earth's answer. "To the Galactic Council and your enforcement fleet, this is President Tom Miller of Earth. We have received your ultimatum, and our response is simple. We reject your demand for soldiers. Earth has never surrendered to threats, and we will not begin now. If you believe you can take our people by force, you are welcome to try. But understand this. You have gravely underestimated what you are facing. Fleet Commander Tor received the transmission aboard Eternal Glory with something resembling amusement. He had processed similar defiant speeches from dozens of species over his long career. They always began with brave words and ended with desperate surrender once orbital bombardment began. Begin bombardment preparations, he ordered his weapons officer. Target their largest population centers first. Once they see their cities burning, they will reconsider their position. But as the alien fleet began moving toward Earth's inner system, something unprecedented began happening on the planet's surface. The oceans started to churn and bubble as if massive geothermal events were occurring simultaneously around the globe. Satellites showed vast whirlpools forming in the deepest ocean trenches, each one miles across and growing larger by the hour. From these swirling vortexes, shapes began to emerge that challenged every assumption the aliens had made about human technology. The first vessel to break the surface was a dreadnought 3 kilometers long, its hull composed of materials that seemed to bend light around its edges. Water cascaded from its surface as it rose into the atmosphere, followed by dozens more ships of similar size. But the emergence continued. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and vessel types that fit no known classification broke through the oceans, surface around the globe. Each ship bore the clean lines of advanced engineering combined with aggressive weapon configurations that spoke to purely human military thinking. Fleet Commander Tor watched his tactical displays with growing alarm. As hundreds of vessels became thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. The primitive planet that was supposed to provide conscript soldiers was producing a fleet that outnumbered his force by tens of thousands to one. Admiral Pete Kane, now aboard the USS Leviathan floating 2 miles above the Pacific Ocean, opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. His voice carried across the solar system with calm authority that made the alien commander's mandibles clench with sudden uncertainty. Enforcement Fleet, this is Admiral Kane of the Earth Defense Force. You demanded to see our military capability. Congratulations. You are now looking at our reserve fleet. These million vessels have been waiting beneath our oceans for over 50 years, preparing for the day someone threatened our world. The alien ships hung in space, their commanders struggling to process what they were seeing. 1 million ships. A primitive planet had secretly constructed and maintained 1 million warships while appearing to possess only basic spaceflight technology. Kane's voice continued across the communication channel, carrying the weight of humanity's patient preparation. You wanted 500 million soldiers. Instead, you will face 12 million Navy personnel aboard ships that incorporate 5 decades of human innovation applied to galactic technology. We learned from your ancestors' crashed vessel, but we improved everything we found. As the last, ships cleared Earth's surface, their hulls still dripping with seawater from the depths where they had waited in absolute secrecy, humanity's hidden strength finally stood revealed. The galaxy had made the mistake of judging humans by what they showed on the surface, never imagining the patient determination that could hide 1 million-ship armada beneath their planet's waves. The real war was about to begin. The year 1973 had been marked by oil crises and political upheaval, but beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Ray Foster was about to make a discovery that would change the course of human history. The deep-sea mining vessel Cousteau Explorer had been drilling for manganese nodules in the Mariana Trench when their sensors detected something that should not have existed at that depth. Foster, a marine engineer with 20 years of experience in deep ocean work, studied the sonar readings with growing excitement. The object was massive, clearly artificial, and buried in sediment that suggested it had been there for centuries. More intriguingly, the metal composition readings showed materials that did not match any known elements. Deploy the deep recovery probe, Foster ordered, his voice tight with anticipation. Full sensor array and sample collection. I want to know everything about what's down there. The probe took 6 hours to descend to the crash site, When the first images arrived, Foster found himself staring at technology that rendered human engineering primitive by comparison. The vessel was clearly not of Earth origin, its hull composed of materials that seemed to shift and flow despite being obviously solid. Even damaged and half-buried, it represented an advancement beyond anything in human science. Foster faced a choice that would define the next 50 years of human development. He could report the find through normal channels, triggering a rush of competing national interests that would likely result in the technology being weaponized by whoever reached it first. Or he could make a different choice. Within 48 hours, Foster had made contact with individuals in both the American and Soviet governments who understood the implications of his discovery, rather than allow the find to become another front in the Cold War. These leaders made an unprecedented decision. The alien vessel belonged to all humanity, and humanity would prepare together for the day its creators returned. Project Deep Shield was born in absolute secrecy. Scientists and engineers from every major nation were quietly recruited and brought to underwater facilities that were constructed in the deepest ocean trenches. The crashed alien vessel became humanity's first university of advanced technology, teaching lessons that would take decades to fully understand. Director Amy Cross, then a young physicist specializing in exotic matter interactions, was among the first generation of Deep Shield researchers. Her archived logs, recorded over 5 decades of development, revealed the staggering scope of what humanity accomplished. Day 847 of analysis, Cross recorded in her personal log. We've successfully reverse-engineered the gravity manipulation systems. The aliens use localized space-time distortion to achieve faster-than-light travel. More importantly, we can improve their design. Human engineering principles emphasize redundancy and adaptation. Their technology is elegant but fragile. We're building something stronger. The breakthrough came in 1978 when human scientists successfully activated the alien vessel's data core. The information contained within revealed the existence of a vast galactic civilization, complete with star charts, technology specifications, and most importantly, tactical information about various species' military capabilities. Foster, now the project's senior administrator, realized that humanity was looking at an intelligence database that could provide critical advantages. While other species developed along predictable technological paths, humans could leapfrog centuries of development by understanding how galactic standard technology worked and finding ways to improve it. The first human-built vessel incorporating alien technology was launched in 1981. The prototype destroyer was constructed entirely in underwater facilities, powered by geothermal vents, and shielded from detection by miles of ocean water. Unlike alien designs that prioritized efficiency and standardization, human engineers emphasized adaptability and unconventional tactics. We're not trying to match their capabilities, Foster explained to a gathering of international military leaders in 1985. We're trying to exceed them in ways they won't expect. Every alien ship in their database follows similar design principles. They think in terms of superior firepower and advanced shielding. We think in terms of misdirection, surprise, and using their own assumptions against them. By 1990, humanity had constructed over 10,000 vessels, each one incorporating lessons learned from both alien technology and human innovation. The ships were designed to operate independently, adapt to unexpected situations, and coordinate with other vessels in ways that alien tactical doctrine never anticipated. The global population remained unaware of the massive construction project occurring beneath their feet. The resources required for Project Deep Shield were hidden within environmental research budgets, deep-sea exploration funding, and military development programs. Thousands of the world's brightest minds simply disappeared into classified facilities, officially reassigned to projects that existed only on paper. Captain Luke Hayes joined Deep Shield in 1995 as a young naval officer fascinated by unconventional warfare. His first assignment was aboard a destroyer that could phase in and out of normal space-time, using quantum uncertainty as both a defensive measure and a weapon delivery system. Training for Deep Shield was unlike anything in conventional military. Education, Hayes recorded in his personal memoir. We weren't learning to fight galactic standard battles. We were learning to fight battles that galactic standard doctrine couldn't comprehend. Every exercise began with the assumption that we were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing technology superior to our own. By 2000, the Hidden Fleet numbered over 100,000 vessels. Each ship was crewed by personnel who had trained their entire careers for a war that might never come. They lived in underwater cities, raised families in facilities built into ocean floor mountains, and developed a culture entirely separate from surface humanity. The alien database had provided detailed information about various species' military psychology. Most galactic civilizations fought according to established patterns, using predictable formations and conventional tactics that had worked for millennia. Human military planners realized that their greatest advantage lay in unpredictability. Admiral Pete Kane, who joined the project in 2005, oversaw the development of tactical doctrines that would confuse and disorient alien commanders. Human ships were designed to use solar system geography as weapons, turning asteroid fields into missile swarms and using planetary magnetic fields to supercharge their weapons systems. The final phase of construction began in 2010, as sensors detected increasing alien activity at the galaxy's edge. The crashed vessel's data had included warnings about the Devourers, mechanical beings that consumed entire civilizations. Deep Shield analysts realized that the galactic community was facing an existential threat that would eventually reach Earth. By 2020, humanity possessed over 1 million combat vessels, each one representing technology that exceeded galactic standard by significant margins. The ships incorporated human innovations in artificial intelligence, weapon systems, and defensive capabilities that alien engineers had never imagined. Director Cross, now in her 70s, made her final log entry as the Alien Enforcement Fleet approached Earth. 50 years ago, we found a crashed ship and made a choice. We chose to prepare rather than panic, to work together rather than fight each other, and to improve rather than simply copy. Today, the galaxy will see what humanity can accomplish when we have sufficient motivation and adequate time. The secret of humanity's hidden strength lay not just in alien technology, but in the human approach to problem-solving. Where other species saw limitations, humans saw opportunities for innovation. Where others accepted established patterns, humans created entirely new approaches to galactic warfare. As the ocean-based fleet rose to meet the alien ultimatum, they carried with them 5 decades of human determination, innovation, and tactical thinking that would revolutionize galactic military doctrine. The galaxy had given humanity 50 years to prepare, and humanity had made the most of every single day. Fleet Commander Tor stood in the command center of Eternal Glory, his multiple arms working tactical displays as he processed the impossible situation before him. 12 alien dreadnoughts against 1 million human vessels. By every calculation, in galactic military science, his fleet should retreat immediately and request reinforcements. But retreat meant disgrace, court-martial, and execution for cowardice. More importantly, Tor refused to believe that primitive humans could have developed technology superior to civilizations that had mastered space travel for millennia. Their ships looked impressive, but appearance meant nothing in real combat. Galactic standard weapons and shields had proven themselves across thousands of conflicts over centuries of warfare. All vessels, combat formation Delta 7, Tor commanded. Target the largest human ships first. Once their command structure collapses, the rest will surrender. But as the alien fleet moved into attack position, the human response defied every tactical manual in Tor's memory. Instead of forming defensive formations or moving to intercept, the human fleet simply vanished. 1 million ships disappeared, from sensors as if they had never existed. Admiral Kane, aboard USS Leviathan somewhere in the empty space between Mars and Jupiter, watched tactical displays that showed alien confusion in real time. 50 years of preparation had included extensive study of galactic military psychology. Most species fought according to predictable patterns because those patterns had proven effective. Humans had deliberately developed tactics that no galactic commander would anticipate. All units, implement Shadow Protocol, Kane commanded across. Quantum communication channels that the aliens could not intercept. Remember, we are not trying to prove we are stronger. We are demonstrating that strength means nothing without wisdom. The first phase of the battle began when human ships started appearing at seemingly random locations throughout the solar system. A destroyer materialized inside an asteroid field near Mars, using the rocky debris to mask its approach before launching weapons that turned space rocks into high-velocity projectiles. The alien cruiser Bright Victory found itself under bombardment from thousands of asteroids moving at significant fractions of light speed. Captain Luke Hayes commanded the destroyer Deep Strike in an attack that would become legendary in human military history. Instead of engaging the aliens directly, his ship flew into Jupiter's atmosphere, using the gas giant's massive electromagnetic field to supercharge its weapons systems. When Deep Strike emerged from the planetary storm, it unleashed energy blasts that exceeded anything in the alien weapons database. The alien flagship tried to respond with conventional tactics, but human vessels refused to fight conventionally. Ships appeared and disappeared using quantum uncertainty drives that made targeting impossible. They coordinated attacks across vast distances using communication systems that operated outside normal space-time. Most confusing for alien commanders, human vessels displayed individual initiative that galactic military doctrine considered impossible. "How are they coordinating without central command?" demanded Tor's tactical officer, a crystalline being whose harmonics indicated extreme stress. "Our sensors detect no command signals, no formation patterns, no hierarchical structure." Tor had no answer. Human ships moved like a school of fish or a flock of birds, each vessel making independent decisions that somehow created coordinated group behavior. It was organic, unpredictable, and devastatingly effective. The second phase began when human forces demonstrated technology that shouldn't exist. The heavy cruiser Pacific Thunder actually flew through Saturn's rings, using the ice and rock particles to create a defensive barrier while its weapon systems converted ring material into hypervelocity projectiles. When it emerged, half of Tor's fleet was under bombardment from millions of ice fragments moving at relativistic speeds, but the most shocking demonstration came from a group of human destroyers that surrounded the alien battleship Iron Dominion. Instead of simply destroying it, they began systematically dismantling the vessel, using precision weapons to remove specific components while keeping the crew alive. Within hours, they had reduced a state-of-the-art dreadnought to a collection of separate parts floating in space. The alien crew was rescued and brought aboard human vessels, where they were treated according to galactic conventions for prisoners of war. But more importantly, human engineers were already analyzing every component of their ship, learning from alien technology even during active combat. Admiral Kane monitored the battle from multiple perspectives, watching as his forces demonstrated capabilities that galactic military science considered impossible. Human ships were using solar wind as propulsion, gravitational fields as weapons, and the electromagnetic radiation of stars as communication networks. "Alien Fleet Commander," Kane broadcast on all frequencies. "Your ships are impressive examples of galactic standard engineering. Unfortunately, humans don't fight according to galactic standards. We respectfully suggest you surrender while your crews are still alive." Tor's response came in the form of a desperate final attack. Eternal Glory, the most advanced ship in his fleet, unleashed weapons capable of cracking moons. The plasma discharge could have sterilized continents, representing the pinnacle of galactic military technology accumulated over millennia. The human response was elegant in its simplicity. Instead of trying to stop the attack, they redirected it. A formation of human cruisers used gravity manipulation to bend space-time itself, turning the alien weapon against the asteroid belt. The massive energy discharge struck thousands of asteroids, vaporizing them instantly and creating a debris field that made further alien movement impossible. But humanity's most important victory was not military. Every moment of the battle was being broadcast throughout the galaxy by automated probes that humans had secretly deployed over decades. Civilizations that had never questioned galactic military doctrine were watching human forces dismantle supposedly superior alien technology using tactics that no military academy had ever taught. The battle ended when eternal glory found itself, surrounded by 50 human destroyers, each one demonstrating technology that exceeded alien capabilities. But instead of destroying the flagship, Admiral Kane opened a communication channel. Fleet Commander Tor, this is Admiral Kane. Your crew has fought bravely, but this battle is over. We are prepared to accept your surrender under the Galactic Conventions for Military Conduct. Your personnel will be treated with respect and returned to their homes once this crisis is resolved. Tor stared at tactical displays showing his fleet completely neutralized without a single human casualty. 12 ships representing the finest galactic military technology, defeated by forces that had appeared to be primitive just hours earlier. The implications stretched far beyond this single battle. "I surrender," Tor transmitted, his voice carrying the weight of military tradition that stretched back thousands of years. "But I demand to know how you achieved this level of technological development. The galactic database shows your species achieved spaceflight only decades ago." Kane's response was transmitted not just to Tor, but to every listening post throughout the galaxy. "Commander, you made the mistake of assuming that what you could see was all there was to see. Humans have been preparing for this day for over 50 years. We learned from your technology, but we improved it using methods your civilizations never imagined." The aftermath of the battle sent shockwaves throughout the galactic community. Military analysts struggled to understand how human tactics had proven so effective. More importantly, intelligence reports revealed that the human fleet was not defensive, but exploratory. Human vessels had been positioned throughout the galaxy for years, observing and learning from every major civilization. President Tom Miller addressed the galaxy from the White House, standing before cameras that broadcast his message to civilizations across the local galactic arm. This battle was not aggression. It was defense of our world and our people. But let this serve as notice to any who would threaten Earth. Humanity is prepared to take its place in the galactic community, but as equals, not as subjects. The galaxy would never again underestimate a species based on surface appearances. Humanity had demonstrated that preparation, innovation, and unconventional thinking could overcome seemingly impossible odds. More importantly, they had shown that cooperation between former enemies could produce results that exceeded anything achieved through traditional military dominance. The battle for Earth's honor marked the end of one era and the beginning of another, where human tactical doctrine would reshape galactic military thinking and prove that sometimes the best defense was preparation that nobody could see coming. 3 months after humanity's impossible victory, the Galactic Council faced a crisis that threatened the very foundation of their civilization. The Devourers had consumed 2 more star systems while the Council struggled with the implications of Earth's demonstration. Worse, their military recruitment efforts had collapsed entirely as species after species refused to provide troops after witnessing human tactical superiority. Admiral Rex floated in the council chamber's liquid-filled speaking area, his webbed appendages trembling with exhaustion. The aquatic builders had maintained galactic peace for millennia, but that peace was crumbling as fast as worlds fell to the mechanical plague spreading from the galaxy's rim. The crystalline collective refuses to commit their mineral warriors, Rex reported to the assembled representatives. The Hive Collective has recalled their breeding fleets to defensive positions. The Sky Dancers have retreated to their gas giant homeworlds. Every military alliance we have spent centuries building is dissolving. The massive insectoid representative clicked her mandibles in agitation. How can we fight an enemy that adapts to every weapon we use when our own allies refuse to engage? The Devourers grow stronger with each system they consume, while we grow weaker with each retreat. But the real crisis was more fundamental than military logistics. Intelligence reports arriving from throughout the galaxy revealed the terrifying scope of humanity's preparation. Human vessels had been discovered in every major star system, hidden within asteroid fields, gas giant atmospheres, and the magnetic storms of stellar coronas. They have been watching us for decades, Rex announced, his translated voice carrying the weight of civilizational shame. Every tactical weakness, every technological limitation, every political fracture in our alliances. The humans have documented everything. The chamber fell silent as representatives absorbed the implications. Humanity had not simply prepared for war, they had conducted the most comprehensive intelligence-gathering operation in galactic history, learning the strengths and weaknesses of every major civilization while remaining completely undetected. The situation became even more complex when Earth's diplomatic vessel arrived at Harmony Station 3 days later. The ship itself was a testament to human engineering philosophy, simultaneously serving as a mobile fortress, scientific research station, and diplomatic headquarters. Its arrival demonstrated that humans could project power anywhere in the galaxy, whenever they chose. Admiral Pete Kane materialized in the council chamber through a transport system that operated on principles the assembled scientists could not identify. His presence was calm and assured, carrying the confidence of someone who held superior position in any negotiation. Honorable representatives, Kane began, his words automatically translated into every language in the chamber. Earth comes before you not as conquerors but as partners. We have observed your struggle against the Devourer threat, and we offer our assistance. The offer was elegant in its simplicity and devastating in its implications. Humanity would deal with the mechanical plague that threatened galactic civilization, but only under conditions that completely restructured the existing power balance. Kane's terms were non-negotiable. The Galactic Council would be dissolved and replaced with the Galactic Defense Alliance, with Earth serving as military coordinator. All species would contribute according to their capabilities, but none would be conscripted or coerced. Most. Importantly, the new alliance would operate according to human military doctrine that emphasized adaptation, innovation, and individual initiative. The debate lasted for days, but the outcome was inevitable. Faced with extinction from the Devourers and unable to oppose humanity's military superiority, the major species agreed to restructure their entire civilization according to human proposals. But humanity's masterstroke was not military or political. It was technological. Dr. Ray Foster, now 94 years old but still sharp, addressed the council with a solution to the Devourer crisis that no galactic scientist had imagined. The mechanical plague you call Devourers is not evil, Foster explained to the stunned assembly. They are simply following their original programming. 50 years ago, when we found that crashed ship, we also found records of their creation. They were built as terraforming machines by a civilization that died out millions of years ago. Their programming tells them to break down existing structures and rebuild them according to specifications that no longer exist. The chamber erupted in harmonics, clicks, and electronic pulses as representatives struggled to understand the implications. For centuries, the galaxy had viewed the Devourers as an unstoppable force of destruction. Humanity was suggesting they were malfunctioning tools, Foster continued, his aged voice carrying the authority of decades spent studying alien technology. Human programming philosophy emphasizes adaptive learning and mission flexibility. We have developed techniques for reprogramming artificial intelligences without destroying their core functions. The Devourers can be converted from destroyers to builders. The process Foster described was elegant and terrifying in its implications. Human computer scientists had spent decades developing viral programming that could infiltrate and modify artificial intelligence systems. Originally designed to counter potential alien computer attacks, the technology could be adapted to reprogram the Devourer swarm on a massive scale. But the conversion process required direct contact with Devourer forces, meaning human vessels, would need to approach the mechanical plague at close range while maintaining communication links for extended periods. It was a strategy that required the kind of unconventional thinking and tactical flexibility that only human military doctrine had developed. Admiral Kane stepped forward to address the practical implementation. The conversion fleet will be composed of integrated crews from all Alliance species. Humans will provide tactical coordination and programming expertise, but this mission requires the combined capabilities of every civilization. The first integrated crew assignments were announced within days. Captain Luke Hayes, newly promoted to admiral, would command the flagship of the conversion fleet. His crew included navigation specialists from the Crystal Collective, whose mineral-based consciousness could process multidimensional space coordinates, engineering teams from the Hive Collective, whose group intelligence could manage thousands of system functions simultaneously, and weapons specialists from the warrior castes, who understood galactic standard combat procedures. The cultural integration was as challenging as the technical aspects. Human military doctrine emphasized individual initiative and adaptive thinking, concepts that were difficult for species accustomed to rigid hierarchical structures. But the training process revealed unexpected benefits, as different species contributed capabilities that enhanced overall performance. The Sky Dancers, who lived in gas giant atmospheres, provided expertise in three-dimensional movement and environmental adaptation that improved human tactical flexibility. The Crystalline Collective's harmonic communication systems allowed instantaneous coordination across vast distances. The Aquatic Builders' engineering philosophy of patient systematic construction complemented human innovation with methodical implementation. 6 months later, the first conversion fleet departed for the Devourer front. The ships themselves represented a fusion of technologies and design philosophies that created capabilities exceeding anything achieved by individual species. Human tactical unpredictability combined with alien technical expertise produced vessels that could adapt to any situation. The first contact with Devourer forces occurred in a system that had been under attack for 3 months. Instead of engaging in conventional combat, the human-led fleet implemented Foster's conversion protocol. Ships approached the mechanical swarm while broadcasting complex programming signals designed to establish communication with the Devourer control systems. The process was delicate and dangerous. Devourer units were programmed to destroy anything that approached, but they were also designed to receive updated instructions from their creators. Human programmers had spent years developing signals that mimicked the ancient authorization codes while carrying new mission parameters. Admiral Hayes coordinated the operation from the bridge of New Horizon, watching as his diverse crew worked together in ways that no galactic military manual had ever described. The Hive Collective engineers managed hundreds of simultaneous communication channels, while Crystal Collective navigators maintained precise positioning relative to the Devourer swarm. The breakthrough came when the first Devourer unit stopped attacking and began responding to human programming signals. The ancient machine, designed to terraform worlds according to long-dead specifications, accepted new instructions that redirected its function from destruction to construction. Within hours, the converted Devourer was rebuilding damaged space stations and repairing the infrastructure it had previously destroyed. More importantly, it began broadcasting the conversion signals to other units in the swarm, creating a cascading effect that spread throughout the entire Devourer force. The success exceeded every projection. Not only were the Devourers converted from destroyers to builders, but their advanced construction capabilities began improving galactic infrastructure at an unprecedented rate. Worlds that had been devastated by the mechanical plague were rebuilt, within months to standards that exceeded their original condition. But humanity's greatest achievement was not technological or military, it was social. The Galactic Defense Alliance became a genuine partnership where different species contributed their unique capabilities while learning from human approaches to problem-solving and innovation. The final scenes of the transformation showed integrated crews working throughout the galaxy, combining human tactical thinking with alien expertise to address challenges that no single species could have handled alone. Former enemies worked together on projects that benefited entire star systems, while the converted Devourer swarms provided construction capabilities that made galactic-scale engineering projects possible. Dr. Foster, now spending his final years in the underwater cities where humanity's preparation had begun, recorded a message that was broadcast throughout the Alliance. 50 years ago, we found a crashed ship and chose to prepare for the unknown. Today, the galaxy understands that preparation and cooperation can overcome any challenge, no matter how impossible it appears. Earth's transformation from threatened, primitive world to galactic leader was complete. But more importantly, the galaxy itself had been transformed. The old hierarchies based on technological advancement and military power were replaced by an alliance that valued innovation, adaptation, and the recognition that any species might possess capabilities that others needed. The message that echoed throughout the galaxy was simple but profound. Underestimating others based on appearances was not just tactically foolish, but represented a failure to recognize the potential that existed in unexpected places. Humanity had taught the galaxy that true strength came not from superior technology or overwhelming force, but from the wisdom to prepare, the courage to innovate, and the humility to learn from others. The million-ship armada that had emerged from Earth's oceans was just the beginning. The real victory was the transformation of galactic civilization into something stronger, more adaptive, and more resilient than anything that had existed before. The galaxy would never again underestimate the power of patience, preparation, and the potential for any species to surprise those who thought they understood everything about the universe.